If you've followed this channel for a while, you know I love the quarterback position, and especially quarterback recruiting. Today I want to talk about how good the 2022 NFL quarterback draft class is, so you guys can become familiar with all the top names in the class so far. I'm going to put the quarterbacks into tiers based on their potential and rank them, and I'm going to talk about all the guys who could potentially be a day 1 or day 2 pick, and all the other players who could have breakout years. First, if you love college football, be sure to subscribe and help me reach 25,000 subscribers by the end of December. Give the video a like if you enjoyed the content, share it with your friends, comment your thoughts, suggest a future video topic, and stay until the end. Now let's get started. We're going to start out with the first tier of quarterbacks, and these are the guys who I think are first round picks. Sam Howell is my favorite quarterback in the 2022 class, and he has been spectacular for North Carolina this season and is one of the most efficient players in the nation. He broke out onto the scene as a freshman as Mack Brown's first quarterback, and he kept the Tar Heels in a close game every single time. Going back to high school, he was a 4-star recruit. It was actually originally a Florida State commit, but he flipped to UNC. I love Howell. I think he's going to be the top quarterback taken. Kedon Slovis is my second favorite guy. He was a late bloomer in high school who was only a 3-star recruit. He was never expected to play because Bryce Young was committed and JT Daniels was on the roster, but after JT got injured, Slovis took the job and had a great freshman season, and since Daniels has left for Georgia, it was his job. He's been alright so far in 2020 and has USC undefeated, but I'd like to see him have a big year in 2021 before he can be considered the top quarterback prospect, but I like what he has to offer. Spencer Rattler was a prodigy coming out of high school and the top quarterback in the class of 2019. He backed up Jalen Hurts last year and was projected to be a star this year for Oklahoma. He had a slow start, but has started to show some flash, and Lincoln Riley is going to develop him into a star. I think he has a ton of potential and will definitely be a first-round pick when that comes around. If JT Daniels stays around, he will be a first-round pick next year as well, as he has all the intangibles. I think he's going to have a huge year at Georgia, and he's already putting up great numbers right now. But I definitely think he'll be drafted in 2021 this spring, but if not, he's a first-round pick in my eyes for 2022. Tier 2 is the guys who I think will be day 2 picks, and guys who could potentially jump into the first round if they have big years. Jayden Daniels was a big-time recruit coming out of high school and chose Herm Edwards in Arizona State for college. He won a lot of big games in 2019 and was expected to have a huge second year. He's been pretty solid this year, but I want to see more out of him and I want him to become more accurate before he can be a first-round pick. Tyler Shuck was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school and took his talents to Oregon. He's the successor of Justin Herbert and is expected to blossom into a star. He's been up and down this year, but he has all the tools to be the star and a first-round pick if he can put it all together. Dillon Gabriel has broke out for UCF so far in 2020, and he has a great arm and a great system. He's playing in a more air raid up-tempo style under Josh Heupel, so that does concern me a bit, but he is right now second in the country in passing yards, and if he continues to light up the American Athletic Conference, he could be a day 2 pick. Hank Bachmeier was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school and chose to commit to Brian Harsin in Boise State over Power 5 interest. And he's been great so far, as in his first career start he beat Florida State last year, and he's continued to have a good year. I think he has all the immeasurables to be a day 2 guy, maybe day 3. Phil Jurkovec was a big-time recruit coming out of high school and actually originally went to Notre Dame, but after he transferred to Boston College, he has broken out so far in 2020, and I personally think he's going to absolutely go off next year, and he's my dark horse first-round pick, and he's personally my favorite quarterback in this class, but he's got to put more together before that happens. Tier 3 are the guys who should get drafted or have the potential to get drafted. Michael Penix Jr. broke out for Indiana in 2020 and has made some throws that have just taken the breath out of people and is super mobile, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy and stay on the field, but the potential is there for him to potentially be a day 1 or day 2 pick. Bo Nix was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, but he has been a tad bit underwhelming so far in his 2 years. He pretty much reminds me of Sam Ehlinger, and I don't really see him as a high draft pick, but he could definitely slip into the later rounds, and he's a big name. Chase Garbers has started multiple years for Cal and has the arm and potential to be good, but can he put it all together for his senior year? If so, he could be a late round pick and a guy who could potentially be a steal. Matt Corral has broken out for Ole Miss so far in 2020, and if he can keep up the production he's having, his stock will climb, and if Lane Kiffin can really develop this guy, I think he could potentially be a steal. Adrian Martinez was so hyped up coming into Nebraska and was a dark horse Heisman dude in 2019, but his hopes of getting to the NFL are fading quickly, and he needs a huge senior year to make up for his struggles, but his athleticism and the flash he showed as a freshman is still there, I think, and he could have a big year and potentially put himself back in the conversation. Grant Gunnell has been seen as an NFL guy for a while. After lining up the Texas high school record books, the Arizona football is in a terrible spot, and he's been doomed to fail there so far. Can a new guy come in and help develop him, or will he have to transfer and do better somewhere else? We'll have to wait and see. McKenzie Milton was a star for UCF for quite a while, but after his horrific injury, People were wondering if he'd ever even walk again, but he has walked again. He's looking pretty good, and he transferred to Florida State, so maybe if he can put things together and shows that he's still a good player, maybe he can sneak his way into there. Layne Hatcher broke out as a redshirt freshman last year for Arkansas State after he transferred from Alabama, and a lot of people have been talking about him as one of the best group of 5 quarterback prospects, and he's one of the highest rated quarterbacks by Pro Football Focus last year. Another good group of 5 player is former Auburn transfer Malik Willis, as he has been a dual threat guy and has done everything for Hugh Freeze at Liberty so far this year, and I really like his potential, but I don't know if he's an NFL guy. Charlie Brewer helped Baylor football break out in 2019, but under Dave Aranda so far, the team has struggled, and he decided to enter the transfer portal, and he could definitely fix his career somewhere else. I like Brewer's potential, and I think he actually has a shot at getting drafted if he can put up big numbers next year. Michael Cunningham had a ton of hype going into the 2020 Louisville season, as he was compared to Lamar Jackson. I know he wasn't that, but that's what his comparisons were at times. But if he can have a big year in 2021 and kind of put things back together, and Louisville can also put things back together, the hype could come back and he could be a late guy. Sean Clifford came in and was the successor to Trace McSorley, but after a solid 2019 campaign in his first year starting, it's been a complete disaster for Penn State in 2020, but his skill set is still there, and maybe he can fix it. Connor Bazelak was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school and has broken out in 2020 under offensive guru Elijah Drinkwitz, and he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country, and he's going to be a future star for Missouri. Dorian Thompson-Robinson has started forever at UCLA, and his experience and athleticism may be enough to get him a shot alone, and maybe UCLA finally figures it out under Chip Kelly if he's still around. Spencer Sanders could have a big year in 2021 to get his name on the boards at Oklahoma State. Well, I don't really think he's an NFL guy, but I think Shane Illingworth actually has more potential and he's his backup. Max Duggan has shown some flash at TCU for sure, but he needs to have a bigger year to put things together and work on his throwing before he's an actual NFL draft prospect, but if he does, he could potentially break out next year. Grant Wells of Marshall has been really good and one of the more under-talked about players in the nation, and he has a chance to become the next great group of 5 player and maybe have a Zach Wilson kind of rise if Marshall football can continue to be good next year. I think I covered most guys, and I could go on for hours and hours about people who have potential to break out, but for the most part, those are the guys that have the most potential to be drafted, and let me know what you think. Who is your favorite quarterback in college football? Who do you think the top 5 quarterbacks that will be drafted next year will be? And let me know a quarterback you think could potentially break out next year. Be sure to give the video a like if you want to help it succeed, and check out my video where I talked about the best quarterback in recent memory for every SEC school. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.